Hi, welcome to session 9. We're going to talk about strumming today. Many good aspects about strumming, different ways to get the best sound out of your strums that you can. Pretty much we've just been doing single chords at this point, or single strums when it comes to chords. Now we're going to get a little bit more complicated, start making a little bit more music with it. So we're going to talk about good strumming technique. I'm going to teach you a couple of simple strumming patterns that you can incorporate into your own playing. And then we're going to talk about getting creative with strumming, getting beyond just the techniques of it and starting to get a feel for it just inside of you. In the How Music Works section, we're going to cover intervals, intervals that are in the major scale and intervals that are not in the major scale, and messing around with those intervals a little bit. So we're going to learn some more songs and put all that we have learned together to make some music. I hope you're ready to go. I'll see you there. Okay, let's talk about strumming. Now, up until this point, you have pretty much played one chord or one strum for each beat, or sometimes we'll just give a whole note for each measure that a chord is in. Okay, well, now we're going to talk about strumming. Well, what's strumming? Strumming is playing a rhythm while playing the chord. So instead of just playing a G down here, we're going to add a little rhythm to it. By the time we get to the end of this session, you'll be able to do that because that's one of our simple rhythmic patterns that we're going to be talking about, simple strumming patterns. Okay, so just adding some simple strumming to your chord playing helps you to start making music, and that's what it's all about. Okay, so let's first start talking about technique. In our right hand, not much that needs to happen, but a couple key things you need to think about. You need to hold your pick nice and firm. Okay, you need to have, because when you're strumming, you don't want that pick to be too loose, or you kind of get an awful lot of pick noise, which is not a good sound. You need to hold that pick nice and strong. You want your wrist to be loose. A lot of times folks will think, as we're getting through some of these exercises, that as you speed up, the tendency is to really tense up that hand to where you bring this wrist in and you tense up this whole forearm up here. Okay, you got to get faster, and you get all excited about that, and you get all tensed up, and that's not what we want to do. The motion is not that. The motion is more like you're flicking something off of your hand. Imagine if you had something on your hand and you were trying to flick something off of it. That's the motion. Your wrist is loose. You have to still hold your pick, but your wrist is loose as you're doing that. Okay, you want your arm motion. Let's talk about what your arm is doing. Your arm is like, think of it like a piston in an engine. It's always going to be going down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. In some of these examples, I will be telling you different combinations. Whatever combination I tell you, it's always going to fit into the pattern of down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. I'm never going to tell you to do an up when you're in the cycle to do a down, and vice versa. Now that may seem like you really have to think about it a lot. As you get into it and speed it up a little bit, you realize there's no other way to do it than being consistent with the downs and the ups. So your hand is always going, even if I just told you to do 3 or 4 quarter notes on a G, down, 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 there's still a silent up that you're doing if you'll notice what your hand is doing. Up, up, up. Now we're just going to start talking about making those ups into strums and getting a little bit more complex with that. Okay? So, you ready for the secret of great strumming? Here's the secret right here. I'll say it probably a dozen times during the course of this. Keep your hand going. The temptation would be to make it stop. And that's going to make you sound choppy and uneven, and it's not going to work. What's the secret? Keep your hand going. Keep your hand going. I could play that rhythm like this, but it doesn't sound right. It kind of sounds choppy. I kind of lose some of the rhythm with it. What's the secret? Keep your hand going. Okay, now let's take a look at some simple strumming patterns. We're going to start very basic and then get to some more complicated patterns that sound a little bit more musical. Okay, so look at example number 1. Just on a C chord, we're just going to do down strokes on that C chord. And then we're going to get into eighth notes and down and up. What you're looking for here is I'm hitting accurate going down on that C chord. I hit that 5th string and down. When my hand and arm kind of arc back, I hit a few of the strings, not all of them. Remember we talked about that. So I'm accurate going down, some of them coming up. My hand is always making this little arc right here. The hand is always going down, up, and you're looking for smooth, even strumming. Here we go. Number 1. Ready, go. Another measure. Now the eighth notes here. Down, up, down, up, down, up. Smooth and even. Let's go back to those quarters. Repeat. Down, 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 down. I'll slow it down a little bit here. Eighth notes, ready, go. Very good. Okay? Now, let's go to look at number 2. Now I kind of bring those eighth notes and I mix them in with that with the quarter notes a little bit more. Okay? We're going to go from a C chord to a G chord. I'll start slow and then we'll play a little bit faster. Number 2. Ready, go. C, C, down, up, G, G, down, up. Repeat it, back to C. Smooth and even strums. Very good. Number 3, let's take a look at number 3. I threw some bar chords in here for you, just to give you a little practice on bar chords, because you can strum on bar chords as well. I've mixed the rhythm up a little bit more. Now when you see those slashes, that means you're just supposed to keep on with that same rhythm, remember? Ready, starts on an F chord. Ready, go. Down, down, up, down, down, up, B flat, G minor 7th, C sus, F. Okay, let's try that one more time. A little bit faster this time. Ready, go. Down. Good. Now you'll notice I use different bar chords for that. Generally, it's easiest to play bar chords from about maybe the 8th fret down. So if I come, like in that example, I have that C sus at the very next to last measure. Now I have a choice to whether to play at C sus up here or down here. Generally, things are more comfortable down here, so I'm always swapping those forms out. Which form would put me in a more favorable position to play? Okay, now we've done strumming with just 8 notes, keeping track of our downs and our ups. Now we're going to throw a few ties in it, and it makes it a little bit more musically interesting to listen to. Okay, so let's start with number 1. This is strumming with 8th notes and ties. Okay, let's look at number 1 in your book. Starts on a G chord, and look at that pattern. Down, down, up, up, down. Now don't get too lost in the downs and ups. Remember, your hand is always going down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So now I'm just going to take out some of those downs, some of those ups, and we're just going to play the ones that we need to. Down, down, up, up, down. Let me slow it down. Down, down, up, down. Remember, your hand is always going down, up, down, up, down. Now, on a G chord, let's just do that first measure. Ready? Your hand is going down, up, ready, go. Now, down, down, up, down, down. Let's just repeat that first measure. Down, down, up, down. So there's a silent down in there. Down, up, down. Let me slow it way down for you. Down, down, up, up, down, 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 up, down. It may take you a while to get it at first. Okay, let's try it again. Ready? Go. Down, 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 up, down, 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 up, down. Okay, now let's do that musical example. Number 1. 2 measures of G, 2 measures of C. Ready? Play. Up, down, again, down, down, up. Now a C chord. Back to G. C. Now, number 2 starts with a C7th chord. Okay, remember our good old open C7th chord? And I changed the rhythm up a little bit on this one. Okay, so let's take a look at it. Down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down. Now let's try it with the chord. We'll do it nice and slow first. Ready, go. Up, down. Again, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down. Okay, now let's play that whole pattern. Ready? Number 2, ready, go. A minor 7th, D minor 7th, G7th. One more time. Keep your wrist loose. Very good. You want to make sure that wrist is loose in there. If you get too stressed out about it, you'll end up sounding real choppy. Let's do number 3. Okay, this is the third most common, not most common, but a third common strumming pattern. You ready? Starts on an A flat. Down, up, down, down, up, down. Here we go, on an A flat. Ready, go. Down, up, down. Again. Got it? Okay, now let's play the whole line. Ready, go. Do it again. Good. Now, the main thing you want to keep in mind as you're doing this strumming is you want to make sure you keep your hand going, make sure your wrist is loose. As you speed up things, don't tense up, relax that wrist even more. That's what you want to do. Now, those are a couple of patterns. There's another one on your page as well. But that's just some simple ideas to get you started on strumming. Ideally, I don't want you to be thinking down, down, up, down as you're trying to play a song. I want you to get used to the flow of it. So once you get these, try and not look at the music and do the same strumming. Like for number 1, it'd be down, down, up, down. So at first when you're thinking about it, let's say we do it on a G chord, down, down, up, down. I want you to, as you speed up, not to have to think about the downs and ups. And that's some about strumming. And the rest is up to you to perfect it and to get it strong and smooth. It takes a little bit of time. Don't be discouraged. It takes a little bit of time and effort. Main thing, relax, keep that hand going. Now let's learn a little bit about intervals in our next section. Okay, welcome to intervals. We've talked about half steps and whole steps. We've talked about major scales. We've talked about keys and key signatures. Now we're up to intervals. Well, what are intervals? Intervals, what I'm talking about is the distance between two notes. Not notes that are right next to each other, like a half step and a whole step, notes that are beyond that. Like if I'm in the key of C, and I want to know the distance between a C and an E, that would be an interval. A C to an F, a C to a B, all of those would be intervals. Now, there's two different types. There's intervals that are within the major scale, or built off the major scale. These are called diatonic intervals. Diatonic means inside the scale. Now, the two different, we're going to separate those intervals up a little bit. The second, the third, the sixth, and the seventh are all referred to as major intervals. Don't get that confused with major chords. We're talking about intervals, completely different thing. The second, third, sixth, and seventh are major intervals. We just kind of split those intervals up into two groups and call them different things. The intervals that are left are the fourth, the fifth, and the octave, or the eighth. Okay? Those intervals aren't called major intervals. Those intervals are called perfect. I don't know why it's that way. It's just kind of how it is. Major intervals, second, third, sixth, and seventh. Perfect intervals, fourth, fifth, and octave. Okay? Now, so let me ask you a couple of questions a different way. If I said, in C, what is the perfect fourth? The answer would be F. The only thing you're listening for is when I say fourth, sixth, seventh, eighth, second. Okay? There's little names that are going to go in front of those that are not important at this point, but are going to get real important later on. But at this point, just realize there's a group of major, and there's a group of perfect. So if I said to you, in F, what is the major sixth? Well, the major sixth in F would be a D. If I'm in B flat and I say, well, what's the major seventh? That would be the seventh step, and in B flat that would be an A. Okay? Now, let's talk about the other group, harmonic intervals. These are intervals that are not within the scale. They're going to take the ones from the scale, but we're going to adjust them a little bit. Okay? So we're going to adjust them up either a half step up or a half step down. Okay? If I call, and again, we've got to adjust them into two groups again, the major intervals, if I raise them up a half step, that's called an augmented interval. What is an augmented second? An augmented sixth. Okay? Augmented is also used to describe going a half step up for the perfect intervals. So really, if you're going a half step up on any interval outside of the major scale, it's going to be referred to as augmented, even an augmented fourth or augmented fifth. So if I wanted, in C, if I wanted an augmented fifth, let's say, that would be a G sharp. G would be the fifth. Augmented, that G would be the G sharp. Okay? Now, if I want to go down on the major intervals, that's referred to as minor. Okay? Don't get that confused with minor chords, anything like that. In intervals, major, if I want to lower that interval a half step, it's called minor. If I'm in F and I want the minor third in F, I go to the third step, which is an A, but now I'm making it minor. I'm going down a half step. Then it would be an A flat. So the minor third in F would be an A flat. Okay? If I want to go down on a perfect interval, fourth, fifth, or octave, I refer to that as diminished. If I'm in G and I say, well, what's the diminished fifth in G? I would go up to the fifth step, which is a D, and go down a half step. D flat. A diminished fifth would be a D flat. Don't get confused. I could ask it this way. In G, what is the augmented fourth? Well, the augmented fourth would be, I go up to C, and then go up one, that would be a C sharp. But now you're saying to yourself, well, Steve, that means that the augmented fourth and the diminished fifth are the same note. Yes, they are the same note, but it's called by two different things. If I asked you for the augmented fourth, you have to tell me C sharp. If you answer D flat, that's wrong. That would be a diminished fifth. See how that works? Okay. Now, let's talk about enharmonic tones. Big word. All it means is that some tones, like a C sharp and a D flat, are going to be one pitch but have two different names. That's what enharmonic tones are. The other thing, as we're adjusting these intervals, sometimes you're going to need to flat an already flatted note. What if I'm in, let's say I'm in E flat, and I want a diminished fifth? Well, the fifth in E flat is a B flat, but I want to make that lower. How do I do that? I do what's called a double flat. Here's your assignment for the week. Now that we've got all that theory stuff out of the way, here's your assignment for this week. I want you to practice the songs that we have in the book, dealing with the strumming patterns, using the strumming patterns that we've learned, some of the simple ones that we've talked about. I want you to complete the intervals worksheets. Talks about when in C, what's the third, in F, what's the sixth, that sort of thing. Okay? Let's go ahead and go to the workshop time, and I'll see you there. All right, let's work out some of these things now. In our workshop time, we want to talk about the basic strumming patterns that we talked about. Let's go through those. The first one was down, down, up, up, down. Let's do that together on a G chord. Ready? Go. Down, down, up, up, down, 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 up, down, down. A little bit faster. A little bit faster. You're doing great. Good. Let's play exercise number 1. Start out nice and slow, then we'll speed up. Ready, go. Now a C chord. Back to G. Try not to hesitate between the chords. Slow and even strums. Good. Now let's play a little bit faster. Ready? Go. Very good. Okay, now let's go to number 2. Starts on that C seventh. We'll do it slow first time. Ready? Play. Down, up, down, up, up, down. Down, up, down, up, up, down. Down, up, down, up, up. Do it again. C seventh. Down, up, down, up, down. Keep that hand going. Very, very good. Okay, number 2, a little bit faster. Ready? Go. Now we're ready for number 3. Slow at first. Down, up, and go. Now a little bit faster. 1, 2, ready, go. Number 4. Ready, go. Now a little bit faster. Ready, 1, 2, ready, go. Great. Now let's move on to our first song, or actually the only song that we're going to cover in this workshop portion. La Bamba. Okay? You've got the single notes to it, and you've also got the chords. Let's just touch on those single notes first, because we've got some rhythm things that we need to deal with as well. So we'll go through it one time slowly, and then one time a little bit faster. Single notes first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 3, 4, rest. Rest. Rest, rest. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Three, 4. Okay, now let's go through the single notes a little bit faster. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. 3, 4, rest. 3, 4, rest. 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. 3, 4. Great. Okay. Now let's do the chords on it. 2 different strumming patterns we're going to use in this one. When you have a measure that has 2 chords in it, I just want you to go down, down, up on the first chord, and then the same thing, down, down, up on the second chord. If you have a measure that's split into 2 chords per measure. Okay, so the measures that do that in this song have an A and a D in them. So if we were playing just that measure with A and D, it would sound something like this. Ready? Go. Good. Let's do that a couple times through. We'll just repeat it. Just that A and D. Go. Now, the measure with E in it is we're going to go ahead and use that strumming pattern. Down, down, up, down. Down, down, up, down. So on an E chord it would be down, down, up, down, 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 up, down. Okay? Now the song starts off with those pickup notes coming into that measure that's starting with the A. So I'm just going to start on that measure with the A, and then we'll go from there. 1, we'll go slow first. Ready? Go. Down. Now the full pattern. Now let's play it a little bit quicker, more up to the tempo of the song. 1, 2, 3, 4. Very good. Okay, now let's do it even faster. One more time, even faster, just to see if we can keep up. 1, 2, ready, go. And that's La Bamba. Now there's many more songs in the Jam Along CDs. You get a whole lot more practice on these songs than just one tune that we're able to do here. And all the practice you can get is going to be well worth your while in making your strums solid, strong, but still smooth, and where you get them fast enough to do what you need to do. We'll see you next time.